Excellent. I've enjoyed some of the presentations. I saw some of the guys had a mine in the Caribbean, which sounded great. Unfortunately, ours is in Kalgoorlie, so we don't have any beaches around, but we are in one of the best jurisdictions to develop a gold mine globally. So let's get straight into the presentation. Today, I'm going to tell you about 3 of our projects. Our core project is a well-developed gold project, but our other 2 projects have really high value intrinsic value as well. So they're worth mentioning. And you just mentioned one before, Cyprus, with the lithium project. Just quickly, cautionary. Oh, let me just figure out how to change the slide here. There you go. You can see that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Okay, so our core asset is called Lake Roe. We've been developing it for about 6 years now. It has a 1.7 million ounce resource. It's well defined. We've spent about $70 million on it, which equates to over 300,000 meters of drilling. Our geology team have done a great job. We're very, very focused on defining this ore body in preparation for mining, so there's no surprises. At the moment, it's a big open pit. I'll show you some imagery of that later that will transition underground. I'll also tell you about our Mana Lithium project and our Ullaring project. And I'm going to finish the presentation on an investment proposition or investment case to invest in Breaker Resources at the moment. The corporate overview, really this slide, the takeaway from this is that we're in a good, strong financial position. We have 3 institutional investors on board in Electrum, Paulson & Co. and Franklin Templeton. Unusual to have that level of support on the register of a company of our size, but we've got that. We've got 23 million cash and shares. So we are in a great position to fund Lake Roe or the upcoming PFS at Lake Roe. We also have a proven management and board. So just going around the list there, I won't touch on everyone, but it's a well-rounded board of industry professionals, lifers in the mining industry. We've got metallurgists, geologists, mining engineers, lawyers, and Tom Sanders in the top right-hand corner, who founded Breaker, geologist specializing in project generation, and he's generated 3 really good projects. I'll tell you about in just a moment. And then Peter Cook, our chairman, who's been on board for about 9 or 10 months, responsible for building numerous mining companies, Westgold, MetalsX. He's been around, he knows how to get a mine off the ground, and he likes what he sees in Breaker, so he's come on board and he's playing a really active role in pushing this into a development story and coming out of exploration and discovery. So just quickly on the location, the map on the left-hand side, you can see it's 100 kilometres east of Kalgoorlie. It's in the heart of Australian gold mining, the heartland of Australian gold mining. The graphic in the middle, you can see the blue labels of all the gold mines that sit around our project. 60 k's to the north, it's Carosue Dam. 60 k's to the south, it's Coroni. A long strike there on the same system, you've got Sunrise Dam, Wallaby, Granny Smith, all world-class deposits. So we are absolutely in the right jurisdiction. This area, this region, is responsible for a huge chunk of global gold production. Just narrowing in a little bit closer. So at Lake Roe, we have the Bombora deposit. That's where the majority of the gold is. It's part of a 3-kilometre defined system, which is part of a larger 9-kilometre strike of mineralization. Or the graphic on the left shows that. The graphic on the right is the 150-metre wide dolerite intrusion where the gold is hosted. And you can see the Bombora label in the middle, with Crescent Copite being a smaller deposit up to the north, which if it was one big open pit would be about 3 kilometres. The chart on the left here just shows the rapid resource growth that the team has put together since we discovered Lake Roe. So the bar on the right-hand side, you can see the 1.7 million ounces rounded up. 1 million ounces of that is 87% indicated. So well defined. That would be the open pit scenario with another 660,000 ounces underground. And we're busy upgrading that from inferred to indicated at the moment ahead of our PFS. The resource statement was done by Optiro, so Rolls-Royce in that field. I won't go through the numbers there, but you can see that in our resource statement online. So what does 1.7 million ounces of gold look like? A provocative slide here, but on the left, there's a 1 ton gold coin produced by the mint. So that in today's dollars is worth $80 million. Well, 1.7 million ounces is about 52 of those coins. Obviously, the trick is to extract it economically. But that's what we're sitting on at Lake Roe. This is a long section of the deposit. We have steep lodes, west dippers, and flat lodes. You can kind of see it there in the imagery. I've put an image of the Harbour Bridge on the left-hand side of that graphic just to show the scale of this. There's a lot of gold at Lake Roe. We just keep discovering more and more, hence the rapid resource growth. And you can see some of the grades and intercepts there on the long section. Again, if you want to have a good look at that, it is online. And just another way of looking at that, you can see all of the drill holes that we've put into Lake Roe. Again, it's approaching 350,000 meters, largely to a depth to define the open pit mineable resource. But now it's all heading underground, and that's not. I mean, we're super fortunate to have a resource that is going to extend underground, and we're defining that at the moment. We did actually release a open pit scoping study in April this year. It showed strong cash flows. The table in the bottom right-hand corner shows $299 million pre-tax cash surplus coming out of that study for what we call the Northern Starter Pit, which is the graphic on the left-hand side, which represents about 1 kilometre of a total 3 kilometre strike. So we'll be feeding those results into our upcoming PFS. We did BFS level metallurgical test work a couple of years ago ahead of a PFS, and that showed excellent recoveries, high gravity gold at 45%. The only problem is that the water out there is pretty saline. So if we use that, and we probably will, we're going to end up losing a couple of percent on the recovery, but still up at 92%. No deleterious elements, free milling material, no surprises, CIL plants amenable. So that's great news. Our timeline looks like this. In the blue flags there, all of the work that we've done leading up to defining this resource. Now we are in a phase where we're doing pre-PFS activities. We're doing an underground scoping study and just putting together all of the bits and pieces that will be required to feed into a PFS, which we plan to release towards the end of the year, plus or minus a few weeks, depending on how quickly we can get some of the inferred resource from some of the underground material into indicated, because we'd like to include that as well, and then a targeted BFS about 6 to 9 months after that. And we hope that'll run us through a period where we hope to find out what's happening macroeconomically around the globe, because obviously some of the cost inputs are quite high at the moment, and we're hoping to find out if some of the inflationary pressure comes off during the period that we're running numbers through our PFS. You spoke about Mana Lithium, and I wanted to touch on that. So just quickly, while we were developing Lake Roe, one of our fieldies was driving across the tenement and drove up to a hill, got out of his car to get reception, and picked up some rocks that looked a little bit like spodumene. So grabbed some samples, long story short, got them tested and discovered a lithium ore body on our tenement. We drilled that out to a certain level, and then we dealt it to Global Lithium, and the deal included a 20% free carry through to BFS. So basically, Global Lithium will spend all of the money on drilling, through to all the money on all of the costs associated with a DFS up until the conclusion of that DFS, and then we'll have the option to either invest into the project or potentially divest our 20%, which could fund the capital for Lake Roe in itself. And then also there were up to $33 million worth of payments associated with that transaction, 13 million cash and scrip up front, and then two $10 million milestone payments. One of them is associated with doubling the resource from the current 10 million tonnes that they have today, which we think will happen in the next sort of 12 months. That's not a difficult task. So a very sophisticated deal there, and we still get the exposure to the upside of lithium. Lastly, Ullaring, and it's just worth, look, this is a non-core asset, but it is worth discussing. We pegged this tenement before Chalice discovered Julimar, and of course, Chalice has a market cap of $1.7 billion today on the back of that discovery. We're about 60 kilometres to the east of that deposit. There's historical drill intersections of 60 metres at 0.81 grams per tonne and 0.19% copper. There's soil anomalies for nickel PGE materials as well. So it's drill ready. We're sending a rig out there sometime very, very soon, and it could be our next discovery in waiting. I'm going to leave you with this graph here. This is the Lassonde curve. Pierre Lassonde created this curve about 30 years ago. He, of course, founded Franco-Nevada. What it shows, he noticed that most companies that go through exploration, discovery, and into operation have a perception of value along this curve attributed by the market. And, you know, it's overlaid to our share price there. And you can see that so far, Pierre Lassonde is correct. We went through a process in 2016 of discovering Lake Roe. So all of the euphoria and the appreciation in our market cap over that discovery hump dissipated as we moved into the pre-feasibility phase. That's where we are at the moment. And of course, we should come out of that into a definitive feasibility phase. And should we get up and running into an operating mine, you can see where Pierre Lassonde believes our market cap and hence share price will go into the future. That's all I have for you today. I just wanted to keep it short and sharp, relatively informal, but next steps for us is completing this PFS at Lake Roe and running straight into a DFS process once we work out which option we want to go with. It's really exciting because it's a robust resource. There's more gold on that tenement. We're in it. I think we're undervalued if you look at the enterprise value of the company, particularly once you start factoring our hold at Mana Lithium and the milestone payments that are to come. So we're in an enviable position, and I think it's a good time to be a part of Breaker Resources.